powerful form of art to me, because it allows people to experience some of the deepest emotional expressions. Just a year ago is when things really changed drastically for me. I went on spring break, got the email that classes were going to be online for the remainder of the semester, and the first thought that really popped into my mind was choir. I might not sing in choir again, at least live, on stage, in front of a audience with my peers. The main thing that COVID did to music was that it took away the people. And when you take away the people from an ensemble like this, it just doesn't work in the same fashion that it usually does. Or so we thought, which motivated me to want to do something to keep music alive.
I was on a walk with my mom whenever I received the email of like classes being canceled for the rest of the semester. That's when it really hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know when I'll get to perform again and like be with people. And so that's whenever it first hit of like, oh no, like this is a big change and it's a big loss.
We first heard that it was going to be off for 2 weeks, and we're like, okay, well, what's going to happen with, okay, what are we going to do for our spring concerts? 2 weeks is a lot of time off. And then we didn't have to worry about that ever again because everything else was canceled.
Some sorrow, of course. The one thing that I really love to do and that I'm actually good at is directing choirs, and all of a sudden that went by the wayside because was suddenly the most dangerous thing that you could do in the United States.
And then I think the biggest thing after that was, like, what are we going to do? Like if we can't sing as a group because it's like not safe, like what would our backup plan be?
At first, I really wasn't sure what to expect with choir. And then when Dr. Scholz told us about like how we do more of a music appreciation class, I was like, oh, okay, like this will be cool, but it still doesn't like fill the void of like actually singing with people. But I know Dr. Scholz is literally doing everything he can in this situation, and I'm so thankful for.
And it was nice because then we get to see like choir people, and even though we can't talk and sing, like it was still good to see each other over Zoom and just kind of pretend that you guys are like right there.
But then after the fall semester started, our music industry teacher Paul came to me and said like, hey, I know you were in my class and I also know you were in choir. And since you weren't able to perform live this semester, like the Glorious Sounds of the Season concerts we usually did at the end of the year, so then how about turn that into a holiday playlist online?
And I was like, I want to provide something for people to do rather than just have us sit around and wallow in it, make something out of nothing.
Exactly.
So I very much appreciate that.
So when Paige texted me and asked if I would join that Zoom meeting, and I said yes, I was really glad I did, because otherwise I would not have been introduced into the role that I played last semester, which I may have bitten off more than I could chew, but it was fun, and we got to do something,
I think it's really cool. And the fact that we get to showcase how close our department is, like not everybody's friends with everybody, but enough people are friends with everybody, And I didn't realize that was an out of the ordinary thing for departments to be super close with each other.
Definitely had to get more familiar with like recording gear and technology and being able to like record myself, which I think is like super beneficial. And it also helped like with like my independence as a musician, learning stuff, because like we didn't have rehearsals or anything, so it's just like up to you to learn your part and to be able to do it like accurately, like hold notes out for their duration, cut off at a certain time. And in my head I was like, oh gosh, like what if other people, like what if I'm not cutting off when other people are cutting off, and I hope that this goes well.
Well, I had technical difficulties, as I'm sure everybody did. I think it was a Saturday morning I went into my office and did that. And I was in there for a good 4 hours doing it. For a 2-minute piece? And of course I did the bass part and the tenor part. I also discovered that I'm really not a bass.
I try to just blend more than anything, because that's the point of choir. I'm not a soprano. I'm not out here trying to sing with super high voice. But, it's a bunch of voices that are recording by themselves separately and then throwing it all together. It's really difficult work.
I felt like there was way more professional supervision, like people who actually knew what they were doing, i.e. Paul, and guiding us to an actual product, because otherwise, if it would have been up to us, it probably wouldn't have sounded half as good, and there would have been twice as much material, and it would have gotten half as many views.
I think one of the best things about at-home stuff is that there's no judgment anymore. So, if I record myself and I sound terrible, I can just do it again, and I'm totally fine, Versus being in a room of people. I won't sing as loudly. I won't be as confident.
I also liked whenever we were able to just go through one of the pieces, so that we could have different markings of this is when we're gonna cut off, and this is the phrase that you're gonna do, this is where you crescendo, and then this is where you decrescendo, and all that. Whenever we talked about different vowels that might be hard, just because it made it feel more normal. It just felt like something else that we would do in choir in person, which I really appreciated.
To do that, I think this should be a little bit more organic. So you all sing in tempo. As I said, I'm not concerned about the intonation of it. You seem to sing nicely in tune.
Dr. Scholz, I think, I really appreciate how real he is with us. It's nice to know that somebody older than us is also feeling a similar way. I don't feel so alienated, I guess. He's like, hey, I know we're all going through a rough time right now, and it's okay. I'm going to keep you here for 5 minutes just to see everybody, and you guys can go on your merry way.
Personal, whatever's going on in your personal life, just to, hey, sit down and listen to this, or sit down and read this book for a little while, or talk to some people in class. Or with chamber, just being able to record and learn some music again is really, really nice. And I really appreciate that. Yeah.
And then you're still going to have some bumps in the road. I live in an apartment complex, right? And my neighbors don't like it when I practice, whether that be for choir or for my other ensembles. So I feel like that's a hiccup that we're going to have as long as we're over Zoom.
In the fall, when the fires were up here, we were getting evacuated, and so I was driving to Chico pretty much 3 times a week to stay and live at a friend's house and go to Zoom school in my car on the way down. And then we were getting fire warnings, so they shut off the power a bunch of times, and so I'm sitting in class with my phone giving cellular data, and so I'm this is a bit much. I'm getting a little bit tired of school right now. If it was in person, I could just go to school. But because I can't and I'm home, and I live in an area that's heavy fire threat, I'm constantly having to leave my house to go somewhere else,
So there's no sort of consistency with things like that. And I feel like that's a big factor of why people either don't turn in recordings or can't turn in recordings, whether they choose not to or whatever. There's outside factors that are kind of contributing to that.
I admit I didn't take a full advantage of pre-COVID education that I could have. Well, there's a lot you can do with editing on computers, but there's even more you can do, and the basis of learning how to use the computer is with the hardware that they have in the studios.
Another thing, I'm a music education major, and so I feel like the more music classes I can attend, the more experience I can get, singing wise, but also with, how do I teach music? And that's definitely different now, because I would hope that this wouldn't happen again while I'm teaching, but you never know. So it's something that it's, if I can get this experience with, okay, how do I teach online and how do I find accommodations for other students, and all of that information, I think that's going to be helpful for me.
If I can help people like have a passion for music, like as much as I do, and like just give them that opportunity to like figure out what music means to them, I'd be happy with that.
Our music program, even though it's like relatively small and it's growing even bigger, that it's like some of the best music teachers, they're such good teachers and they really care, and I love that a lot. So I feel like a better student because of it.
Yeah, I like singing. I've been singing since forever, and I think for the choir aspect, I might not be in a choir throughout my life, but I will never stop singing. Singing is just something that's so awesome, and everybody has a voice, has an instrument that they're carrying with them, and being able to use it and use it together is awesome.
Tonal.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the Flower Songs by Vincent Persichetti.
Persichetti! Pear spaghetti! Pear spaghetti! Oh, it was Italian. Maybe it was Italian. That's yeah.
To do. Okay, so that's your assignment. Do one recording. Brooklyn, you do all three of them. I'm just kidding, Brooklyn.
Okay.
Brooklyn, would you maybe be interested?
As I can do it.
All right.
I was like,
peer pressure.
I'm interested.
I would just go now.
Nice, Jaya.
What'd you think about that, boss?
Sounds good.